Hello, Christina. How are you this week?
I'm good, excited this week. I've got some exciting things happening. I'm meeting a tech
Woo-hoo.
startup guy today, so that'll be good.
I know.
How are
I
you?
cannot wait for your meeting to be done so I can have the debrief and the rundown.
I will keep you posted. You know I
Amazing.
will. I'll be like voice
This
noting
is
you
what
have to go blah, 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 blah. Anyway,
Amazing. So what have we found on the internet today?
so today you'll like this one, Ruth. No workbooks need to be 74 pages long. No workshops need to be 97 slides, and long does not mean valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is like the perfect topic of conversation for me. Long does not mean valuable. 12 Zoom kind of, sessions with the Q&A and the workbooks and the Slack channel. That is not what our clients are looking for when they are joining courses, when they're joining programs, when they're joining webinars. They are looking for information that can be applied into their context. So this kind of a whole notion that we need to provide more stuff, stack the bonuses to add the bonuses to stack the value. That's the advice that we get, don't we? Brainstorm everything and then structure that into your content. It's just useless advice. It isn't valuable to anybody. It doesn't honor how we learn best. It doesn't support our clients to actually do anything with it. It just becomes potentially inspirational. Oh, that was such an inspiring training. Like, thank you so much. And you leave with pages and pages and pages of notes that you don't do anything with, or it's a recipe for disengagement and they just go, it's just not relevant. It's just not interesting. Like, I mean, how many webinars have you joined or programs have you joined where you've just gone?
Too many. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm doing some certified training for an email service
Oh,
provider.
yeah, we talked about this earlier,
We
didn't we?
talked about it, didn't we? And there's so much that you've got to get through to be a certified partner. And I know email marketing, I don't know this company kind of inside out, and some of it's kind of their onboarding, but it's quite long. It's
Yeah.
quite long. I'm going to give them feedback on that. And so I've been watching everything at 1.75 speed to just get through.
So everyone's a chipmunk.
And I talk fast anyway, so some of you might need to slow this down. No, Ruth and I have had this conversation that we both talk fast. But I like efficiency. I want to get to the end point, and it depends. I think if it's something that I'm genuinely interested in exploring, and I have a level of knowledge and I want to expand my knowledge, then I'm interested in some of those bells and whistles, but I could be very easily distracted on the bells and whistles and miss the point. So I
Yes.
probably wouldn't get the results in that case.
Yeah.
If I had, if I was joining it to do one thing and then got distracted with the
Yeah.
rest. But other than that, if it's something, I don't know, for me, it would be something like finance or I don't know, that kind of thing where actually I just want to get to the end of it
Yeah.
and I want the result.
Yeah.
I'm not so bothered. I don't want to learn to be an accountant because
No.
that's not my bag. There are people that are better in the world at doing that. I just need to know what I need to know
Yes.
to keep my accounts safe and stay out of trouble basically financially. That's that's kind of the minimum I need so that I want the quickest result,
Yeah.
not
And
to extend the pain because it can
yes.
be painful.
And essentially what you've done is you've just touched on like one of the core adult learning principles. Actually, it's a few that you've talked about. Like, firstly, you're self-led. Like, there are certain things that you want to learn, either because they're going to enrich your own understanding or because they're going to get to a specific outcome. You're goal oriented, you want a specific result,
Yeah.
and you also want everything that you're learning to be relevant to that outcome, which means that having 97 slides on a webinar or in a training is just not going to hit that mark. Most of that content at 97 slides is just going to completely disengage your audience. They are just going to go, well, I'm not even going to bother. Like, people can see the tracking at the bottom when you're recording and they know how many slides are coming.
Yeah.
And they are just going to tune out unless you are delivering something that they really, really, really need to know right now, that's going to impact their daily reality immediately, that they can apply immediately. And I would question whether 97 slides worth of content is going to meet that criteria. There is absolutely no need. You know, our concentration spans are getting shorter. We have social media to thank for that, and the dopamine hit of, you know, watching a 7-second TikTok, and we don't have the capacity to sit and listen to 97 slides. But even before the dawn of social media, like, we still didn't anyway. Adults will switch off, just as children switch off after 15 to 20 minutes of listening, you know.
But I think one of the things on the slide front, McKinsey teach this to their management consultants, is one thing per slide.
Yes.
Keep it simple. So yeah, you don't want it too long, but you also don't want to change a 97 slide deck into a 10 and not cut anything.
Yeah. But I think also it's understanding that, like, why are the slides there? Because actually talking, like, voice over slides, that isn't delivering training. Your slides are there as a visual reminder.
Yeah.
And emphasizing the important parts for the person that's listening to that training. Like, you don't need to deconstruct your training and put it onto your slides and, like, read it verbatim.
Oh, I hate it when people do that. I'm just like,
I do as well.
I can read it quicker than you can.
Exactly.
When you're presenting, that's where I get to the 1.75 times.
Yes.
A few times.
You know, this is where like, if you're going to do that, like, having a transcript when you realize that the training is just you reading it verbatim, I would much rather skim read through a transcript and find out the relevant information for me than sit there listening to you for an hour or half an hour on 2 speeds, standing like a chipmunk. Like, we need to be conscious of how we're presenting information and presenting it in a variety of ways, because for some people, they will happily listen on 1 speed to you reading a voiceover. But is it the most effective way for them, like, for the majority of people to learn? Is it the most effective way for diverse learners to learn? Well, no, it's not. You know, we have to be providing an inclusive learning experience. If we're in the training space, we cannot rely on PowerPoints and voiceovers. You know, there's so many alternatives available to us that we need to take advantage of. I mean, what's your favorite way to learn? Like, what do you prefer best?
I actually don't like videos. Personally, I like reading, but I think that's because there's a bit of a SWAT school. Outside of school. In school I wasn't so much, but outside of school it was a bit of a SWAT because I had to catch up and I could read fast. Videos mean that I can't do something else while I'm doing it, because I usually do more than one task at a time. I like having a go and having a play with stuff.
Yes.
So, like, trying things
practical and trying it out.
That's probably like where I learn best.
Yes.
But if it was to grasp information, if it's just that information piece, then scannable. So you talk about transcripts, and I'm thinking, actually, it's how that transcript is formatted. Because if you look at a really well formatted blog post, you can read all of the titles and know what the blog post, you know, all the subtitles and stuff, know what the blog post says. And you can dip into the bits that you think, actually, I just want to understand their perspective a little bit more with a paragraph beneath that bit. You don't have to read the whole thing, and you shouldn't have to. And I wonder whether transcripts are great, but how do you make it so that it is skimmable?
Yes.
People that like to do that. So I don't know if we've gone off on a tangent.
We have sort of gone off on a tangent, but I could talk about this stuff all day. And, you know, we were talking about the fact that you want to be able to dip into and find the important bits for you.
Yeah.
This kind of self-led learning is how adults learn. We have knowledge that we bring to the table, and we know what our gaps are. Like, we know the bits that we are going to find interesting and what we want to take away from it. Like, that's how we come to a training, is with a specific intention in mind. You'll have seen the sales page or the you know, the freebie, the webinar lead magnet thing, you know what I'm talking about, the technical stuff that will say, like, you're going to learn this, this and this, and there'll be one thing on there that you go, right, I need to go and hear this insight because that's a specific thing that I'm looking for. And actually, we need to be able to deliver those specifics as quickly as possible,
Yeah.
you know, and actually the best way to deliver learning isn't in an hour-long webinar. You know,
Yeah.
it's in these kind of micro 3 to 5 minute chunks of learning where we get the insight that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And then we assimilate that with what we know already, and we work out how to apply that to our context.
Yeah.
Which is where this navigable, is that even a word? Navigatable? Where we can actually skim through and find the relevant information for us is really, really important. And I think as you know, AI becomes more mainstream, I think a lot of our course platforms and things like that will enable us to do that.
Yeah.
Where we can just kind of search for a keyword and it will direct us to a specific point.
There's like a membership platform that does that already called Searchy, so you can search.
Yes, I've heard of Searchy. That was kind of like what I had in my head when I was saying that. It's like Searchy is a great platform for that. But I think a lot more course platforms will have AI bots where you can ask the question and it will either give you the answer based off skimming the content that's within the course portal, or it will direct you to, you know, minute 2.35 of a particular video and enable you to find the specific information that you're looking for. But you know, if we go back to the statement, which was around, you know, 74 pages in a workbook, 97 slides, absolutely not. This is not how people are going to learn best. We need to chunk everything down into like micro objectives, specifics. You know, why have you got a 74-page workbook when you could have a 3-page workbook about one specific thing that is relevant to that person? And then actually the other 60 something odd pages, they're not even going to look at.
Yeah.
You know?
And that comes down to confidence though, doesn't it? In a number of factors. Confidence that you know what's important and you can strip away the rest.
Yes.
And be comfortable that that thing can sit on its own and that that thing is worth what it is that you're charging, or for people to sign up to your email list or whatever. And then confidence in knowing your target audience and what things are most important to them.
Exactly.
And really having a grip of that. Can I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
Into your knowledge. So one of the things that I really struggle with is if I don't understand the components or the why this thing works in this concept works in a particular way, I can't do the thing. So like if there's a 1 + 1 = 2 and I don't understand the first component of that, you can never get it to do 2. I just like, it's a really bad analogy, but do you know what I mean?
You want to know the foundations before you build on the foundations. And this, you know, whenever we're inviting people into training, we need to be able to assess and identify their gaps. And part of that gap will be that foundational knowledge. Like if you don't understand the concept of 1, you're not going to understand the concept of 1 + 1 = 2. So we need to first ensure that the person coming into that training has that foundational knowledge. And not everybody will go, well, I need to understand all of this before I can move forward, but we need to provide that as an opportunity. And that can be done through, you know, other training materials before they come to a particular program, a particular webinar. What we don't want to do is actually spend the first 3 hours of our training just doing the foundational stuff. If the majority of the people coming to the table don't need it. But equally, it's very important that they do have that foundational knowledge, and being able to draw upon what you know already and pulling those strands through so that it starts to make sense. You know, the way that we learn is that we add information onto what we already know. We assimilate and connect to what we already understand. So while you might not understand that 1 + 1 = 2, you might understand that this is 1. So if you understand that that's 1 pencil, then we can start to go, well, actually, if I've got 1 pencil and another pencil, then that's going to be 2, like that's 2 pencils.
You would be doing reception maths.
But we can, you know, we start to, we have to start step by step, you know, and that kind of concrete with what they already know in place. I mean, this is a big thing about like how we learn and neuroplasticity and all of these different things. But
I'm just picking your brains now.
Yeah.
Does it matter then, and I'm going to give you an example in a minute, what the subject is? So if one of the things I'm thinking in my head is if there's a lot of friction in someone being able to learn something. So for example, I do a lot of stuff on how to stay out of the spam folder and like all of the stuff that they need to do to be able to not have their email campaigns end up in spam, which most people are quite resistant to because they want to do the sales emails or the emails that nurture their clients that lead to sales. They don't see the importance so much of initially how doing these actions keeps them out of the spam folder, like getting your SPF records and all the technical stuff sorted. So on those kind of trainings, lives and stuff that I do, I tend to spend a bit more time on this is why it's important and therefore this.
Yes.
Whereas on right, I'm going to teach you how to do an email campaign that will generate sales. People are like on that without me having to really, well, I suppose it's obvious, isn't it? It's like the foundation. They know that email leads
well, but it's also like people are motivated, like adults are motivated to learn when they can see that there's a tangible benefit. If you can't see the tangible benefit to going into your domain provider and updating all your records because it's like it's just technical and it just feels yuck, you're not going to want to do it. So it's about setting the stage for why that needs to be there. And you know, in order for me to teach you about sales emails, the prerequisite is that you've already done your tech. Like the prerequisite for this training is that you are willing to either do it yourself or find a tech VA that's going to do that bit for you. Because if you don't do that, the rest of it falls down. You know, it's not going to work. So it's a combination of providing foundational skills, but it's connecting it to why are these foundational skills so important? Well, if you don't have that in place, that this whole thing that you're here to learn is just going to fall down. Like you need to do it. As part of the training before we can even begin. Hopefully that answered your question.
It does, just like, and now I'm like, this is why spam's so important.
And it is, but people aren't gonna, you know, we don't always connect with the non-sexy stuff, right? So we have to be able to facilitate that within the wider context of what we're delivering.
Fab.
All right, so today we have talked about adult learning, neuroplasticity, how we learn best, and how we do not overwhelm our learners with a ton of stuff that they don't need. It's about chunking it down, making it relevant, enabling them to learn what they need to and take away from the content that you're putting out there, and helping to support them to contextualize the learning based off where they're at now, moving them those kind of 1 to 2 steps forward and seeing that benefit, like talking constantly about the goal for this. Like, why is this important? We have to do all the tech boring bits because it gets us to the outcome, you know, giving that reason, giving that justification. Whew.
And
I get very passionate about this stuff.
Stuff you don't need.
Cut out the stuff that you don't need. People aren't here for fluff.
And I think sometimes doing that is you sort of, because I ask you questions like this, what do I not need in this? So it's worth having someone else you can pick their brains on. Let's talk it.
You can come and pick my brains anytime because this is my bag, is all of this kind of learning stuff. Right, I think that's us done for today. Good luck with your tech man.
Thank you.
Let me know how it goes. If you have got any comments on today's episode, you can pop them below. If you have anything that you want us to discuss, you can also let us know. And we will be back again next time. See you later, Christina.
Bye.
Bye.